Everybody, welcome to this week's Star Report. This is Jason here at New Dimensions Crystals and Reiki in downtown Brenham, Texas. And today's Star Report is for November the 6th through November the 12th, 2024. And everything is going to be okay. Looking, well, at least for the next 40 years, right? Uh, looking at what we begin with usually here in the Star Report is our nearest star, the sun. And we are looking at the sun's activity as a couple of, or an energy of a minor CME is set to impact tomorrow, the 7th. And CME impacts are usually going to cause technology slowdowns, sometimes upticks in disorders, whether those be chronic diseases like a lupus or triggers of anxiety and stuff like that. Sometimes even heart palpitations and heart issues can be on the rise during that. There is coronal hole energy that is compressing the earth right now, too. That usually results in an uptick of earthquakes that are usually along earthquake fault lines and stuff like that, where they typically happen. So, not like it's going to squeeze the planet and cause earthquakes where they don't happen. But everything's always possible. And those energies of the coronal hole are usually, like compression suggests, feels like a slowdown or a heaviness, sometimes slow to get out of bed. Although in the US, as the fallback time change happens, the biorhythms of the body make it feel sluggish to get out of bed in the first place, even though the sun is up when, well, almost up when you rise already. Um, and then there are some sunspots that are currently Earth facing that have high eruption potential, but nothing as of the last time I checked the report this morning before I given you this report. We are currently, speaking of the sun, still in the zodiac sign, the solar zodiac sign of Scorpio. Which is, you think about the scorpion tail, right? So it's going to be down at the bottom of the tailbone. That's the alchemical correspondence to the physical body, what's happening in stars. And so lower back pain is typical. Sometimes even a sciatica, right? Everything that's sort of governed by those lower nerve clusters there at the base of the spine. Also, the sacral chakra and sexual glands are sort of here, right? So that'd be slightly below the belly button, is where that chakra sort of resides and sort of controls all the stuff down there. And then, of course, sexual glands are self explanatory. If not, get an encyclopedia. And then yeah, I think that's everything that's going on with Scorpio. This should be the last full week, perhaps, of Scorpio, and then we'll be moving into Sagittarius. We'll talk about that later. Currently, ooh, how's that taking me out of focus? I didn't think I went that close to the screen. I'm so blurry. There we go. Moving back slowly. It's like I have a what do they call that? A tick, a hitch. Well, perhaps I do. Perhaps I talk leaning inwards and outwards. Maybe you've noticed on the report. Anyhow, we have currently 5 retrogrades still. Some of those are quickly coming to an end, middle of this month. But for now, we are currently in retrograde with Saturn, which is going to be about mystical timing, right? And so you want to think of those kinds of things as you look out into the culture, and you may or may not approve or feel like it's moving in your direction. Right. And so you want to think about mystical timing, right? There is a mystical timing to the reason that the world is working the way it is. So that would doesn't necessarily mean a divine creator, but perhaps it does. Um, yeah. Yeah. So mystical timing is happening. Neptune, cosmic consciousness, right? So the rise in cosmic consciousness, whether that is a individual kind of thing or a group kind of thing, where you take on what is the energetic flow of human consciousness across the globe, not just in the West here or in the United States, where I broadcast from here in Brenham, Texas, at New Dimensions Crystals and Reiki, newdimensionscrystals.com. Oh, look at me getting some plugs in there. We also are in Chiron retrograde, which is about healing or correcting past personal limitations, right? Where you've limited yourself, not good enough, not strong enough, not wealthy enough, not whatever enough. Just sort of giving yourselves limitations, maybe even excuses for not being what you came here on the planet to be, right? So Chiron sort of helps highlight those things. And probably if you're paying close enough attention, it's showing you the limitations so that you can also see the solutions it is showing you. Uranus is also in retrograde, and Uranus is really about our ability to recreate the 3D self, right? So that would be all kinds of things, right? Healing chronic diseases, losing weight that's taken years to build up. Could be the expansion of spiritual abilities, right? This is just really the 3D self is not bound by the belief systems or the constructs that we have out here in the 3D world. And so the rebuilding of the 3D self probably is best served by understanding that it is not flesh bad, spirit good, that the flesh or the body is created by the spirit, the intentions, the mind. And so, therefore, this physical form is also divine. And also, Jupiter is currently in retrograde, and that is really about self worth, right? So, a lot of times, miracle healings and just the ability to get up and go work out at the gym is sort of governed by self worth. Like, oh, it's unobtainable. I'm not worth it. I've waited too long. All that kind of stuff. And Jupiter's really trying to get you out of that kind of bullshit mindset and realize that you are a divine eternal soul worthy of love and affection, and you're never going to die. And so, as an entrepreneur, as somebody who can create your own reality, what kind of reality would you create? Because you are worth your highest goal, probably even beyond those. So think bigger is what Jupiter's telling us. Oh my gosh, Jupiter's so big, and it's telling us to think bigger. It's like everything's in correspondence or resonance or synchronicity or all the other words that mean the same thing. That leads us into today, 11/6, November the 6th, 2024. And today, the moon's north node, which is really represents the direction we're a person, direction a person, the direction we ourselves are sort of uh, moving in life, right? So it's kind of like the light at the head of the path or the light at the end of the tunnel. It's the direction that we're moving towards. And so that North Node alignment is in Mercury, right? And so that's really about the soul's ability to checking notes, move freely and communicate and accomplish your soul's mission, right? And so Mercury is about travel, right? Which is why they always tell you, like, oh, retrograde, pay attention to travel delays, cancellations, changes of plans, stuff like that, right? Because Mercury retrograde is telling you, like, hey, are you heading in the right direction? And matching up with the North Node, it's really sort of emphasizing that correct direction. So pay attention to that. Soul's ability to move freely and communicate. Mercury is also about communication, right? So that's why contracts, relationships, marriages, and stuff like that, you should sort of pay attention or give extra care to, like marriages and stuff during those kinds of times. And then the idea about mission on Earth is that your soul is born with a purpose. You're not just meant here to observe and be left behind or feel unimportant and unnecessary to the evolution of human consciousness on the planet. Um, and so, if that is the nature of the planet and everybody's doing that, right? This is something that people can probably sort of tell of trying to be internet famous, right? And everybody's doing a lot of the same things, trying to have their own personal expositions of who they are and what they're trying to do online. And sometimes that gets sort of drowned out. That shouldn't be the cue to not do it, right? Because the flow, right, is the importance, right? So moving your own energetic flow into that expansion is good, and right, and who knows, maybe you're a part of a flow that hits a bend in the river and then floats to the top. So continue to be who you are and expand what that means. Moves us into, is it just Tuesday? Am I talking about Monday still? Oh my lord. Or Wednesday, whatever it is. Thursday, I was like, that's not Tuesday. What do I do? Wednesday through Tuesday report. Why am I thinking it's Monday, Tuesday? Anywho, back to that 11/7/2024. Thursday, we enter the pre-shadow of Mercury retrograde. Oh my God, Mercury is affecting our lives. So that's a 3-week pre-shadow usually. Communication, transportation themes. Look for this one to really bring old people, uh people from your past back into your life, or at least thoughts of them, right? And maybe they've passed on, but just sort of like lessons or understandings, or maybe even experiences, how they made you feel, will come back up, right? And so sort of pay attention to that. And maybe they're coming back up to clear, maybe they're coming back up to remind, all those kinds of things. um just because people from the past come up, I get this a lot as questions in the shop. Just because people from the past come up a lot doesn't mean that you've reverted back to an old self. It's just learning, perhaps, or encountering the remembrance of the lesson at a higher field, and realizing how much you've moved on past that, right? So it's not a, oh my God, I didn't move anywhere. What was all that effort for? It's really a, hey, I'm not emotionally or as emotionally affected by that as I used to be. So look at me go. Yeah, so that should be a good Thursday, right? Friday, November the 8th, we're half, we're about, we're about halfway. We will be halfway between the fall equinox and the winter solstice. And so, in between that, even though solstices are about balances, it's really that sort of balance from preparing to be inwardly focused to moving into inward focus. If you want to think about, hibernation, stuff like that. Just the moving in the seasons and the planet can tell you a lot about what should be going on in your mind and in your body. All right, moving right along. Saturday, the 9th of November, 2024. The moon will be halfway to full. Everything's halfway. We're feeling halfway this week. And so that halfway to full really is that building understanding that the divine feminine is there to nurture and create space for this change, right? So you almost want to think of this energy as the moon rises into full, as creating a safe space for all this evolution we just talked about on that Wednesday and Thursday energy. Sunday will be an 11 or an 11 master day. It'll be the final 11 master day of 2024, right? Master days is just a numerological understanding or a waveform that's moving through the planet because of how we keep our own calendar, not because of, anyway, the energy is there, and it's to be used or utilized, or could be utilized to sort of master and make decisions, and sort of give you that confidence that the energy that's moving through you and making you feel or urging you to act, it is something to be trusted, and something that, not that it can't fail, but that is more likely to succeed than if you did it at any other time. Right. So that's just the kind of energy of that. It's kind of like if you're sort of that's a weird thought that I haven't had. Well, it's kind of like if you're jump roping and you're watching the rope go back and forth and you're trying to pick the right time to jump in, right? The 11 master day is the perfect time to jump in the game. Moves us into, what are I? Right? I'm on Monday, 11/11, right? Same principle, same energy. A lot of people, it's been well over a decade where people have associated seeing 11/11 on the clock as that the energy is flowing, that the time is right, that there's a cosmic synchronicity, right? And so this calendar day happens once a year. It's usually a power portal. It gives you the energy to sort of act and decide and do. And what better than it to be a Monday for the 11/11 portal? So pay attention to that. And then Tuesday, um, the 12th of November, 2024. Big thing happening is the northern Torrid peak, right? So last week when we had the Torrids, which is Taurus is having meteor showers move through it, is that was the southern one last week. So we're moving through the northern part. So that tells you how long we're in that stream of meteorites, and why Graham Hancock associates the highest potential of an impactor that is not coming from the sun or due to a solar eruption is most likely to hit us during a torrid field, right? So the younger Dryas that he talks about. Like everything, these like every meteor shower, meteorites are epiphanies, ideas, disclosures, right? So Taurus is usually here at the base of the skull. The polyvagal nerve cluster is where it's associated in the body. So maybe you have some triggered injuries, ideas there. But you also want to think about the what happens in that part of the brain is really the making sense of cosmic realities. So you want to think of maybe as next Tuesday, a week on from the US elections, as the ability to sort of intuit um, spiritually what the cosmic consciousness of the planet is and where things are moving. Also, yeah, that'd be fun times for the northern Torrids to give us some epiphanies. That would be great. Moves us into what's happening for the rest of November, Jason. I have a couple of things that are cosmically important. The 15th and 16th, depending on which side of the planet you're on, is the final supermoon of the year 2024. So full moon stuff, super moon stuff, super full moon stuff. Also, Saturn goes direct, right? So you just want to sort of think of transitions around Saturn. Um, what was that? Mystical timing, right? So uh, think about mystical timing and mystical timing resolutions, right? Maybe things that you thought weren't going according to plan all of a sudden have resolution on those couple days. The 17th and the 18th, the Leonids. So those are going to be in the Leo constellation. Meteor shower peaks, and Uranus is closest as it's been all year, or it will be all year, right? And remember, Uranus is about the rebuilding of our 3D self. So as Saturn moves direct, and we have these synchronicities in the ability to sort of reimagine ourselves in the relationship to the world and each other. Good times. 19th and the 20th, Pluto finally moves fully back into Aquarius, and it'll be in Aquarius till 2043. So yeah, get ready for 20 years of Pluto in Aquarius, right? And so this is really sort of the marking of the energetic move into Aquarius. Even though it's the age of Aquarius since have we been singing that song since the 60s? And then the Grand Harmonic Convergence in 1987, and then yada yada yada. So it takes a while for large bodies of things to move into their positions, and of course, with our time frame and the cosmic time frame, it seems like it's been forever for us, but it's been a blink of an eye for the cosmos, and therefore things can change in the blink of an eye. And then at the end of the month, we begin, after those 3 weeks of pre shadow, we begin the final Mercury retrograde on the 25th or the 26th if you're on the other side of the planet. And then that's the highlights for November. We'll be back next week. A couple of days, I'll be gone. I know I've got to be gone a Friday and a Saturday again for maybe 2 of these weekends. I'll probably be closed, obviously, Thanksgiving weekend. And then I've got a wedding I've got to attend one of these weekends too. So pay attention to the Facebook, and I'm supposing it double posts on the Instagram page for calendar stuff. If you're trying to get by to do an appointment, those days will be duly blocked off. So if it says it's available for an appointment, it should be available for an appointment. If you go to book now on newdimensionscrystals.com, of course, I've had a great time telling you this. I enjoy all the feedback that you guys give me when you make your comments or when you come in the shop. So even people that I don't know are watching the show come in the shop and tell me about the show or the report, whatever you want to call it. It's a show. It's a report. It's a whatever. It's Jason talking to us through a video screen. At any rate, I got here late to do the recordings, and I've gone over. People are probably knocking at the door trying to buy crystals. I'm going to stop rambling. I'm going to tell you until next time, everybody, many blessings. And I'm going to look for the stop record button right over here.